new episode of Old Lifts. Here I decided to start out with the flexing video so I could talk about a few things. First off, of course, Dragon Ball Z shirt, Goku fire, his gi. But I kind of want to talk about the length of my legs compared to my torso. So my legs are long as crap, and that's why I kind of pull up my shorts so it's kind of visible. It's like the leg just continues over the knee. So sometimes when my shorts are sufficiently long enough, it makes my legs look smaller. Does that make sense? Like right here. And also if my shirt is long enough, it also kind of makes my torso look longer when it's really nowhere near that long. Like, yeah. But yeah, right into the actual lift. So like I said last time, pretty much I'll just be covering the squats and not much else. If there's also a humming in the background, it's because I'm both not using a mic, and I'm also got my computer running, and it's about to blow up one of these days. So that's why there might be a little fan sound in the back. But yeah, just the main lifts, so just squats are captured today. I also have footage of me doing, what's it called? Of me doing goblet squats, or at least one set, because I tried to do them, and I realized I didn't really like how it felt. It felt like it was just too tiring to keep the weight up and also do this, but it wasn't enough return on the legs. And then I did some leg press. I just decided not to put the footage in there. Well, I decided that it's in here, and I might just cut it out. It just depends on how long I want to talk for again. But yeah. So very long legs, like you see here with the shirt. It almost comes down to my knees, but really half that distance is still is still um is still quad. So I think I started warming up with I want to say 160 because I wanted to jump up to 250 without it feeling weird. So I tried doing it. So I started at half the weight, like I have said we usually do. But when I start at half the weight, it's almost like it's a really massive leap to go from 125, and then from there to go to 185. If you add another, it's like 60 pounds. So it's just a little too much of a large jump for me. Yep. But the squats feel good. Excuse me. The squats feel good. Especially the first set leading into the second. And the last two were definitely challenging. So I only got about 4 reps. I'm also trying to do is not spend too long readjusting my legs. Just to try and keep the reps going. But sometimes it can't be helped still. I think I still need to get a higher raised platform for shoes. So right now I just have the little incline in my shoe. But I probably need to get legitimate squatting shoes for sure. I think that shirt was actually given to me by some random dude in my weight training class back in sophomore year of high school. So shout out to him, however he's doing. I had forgotten to bring gym clothes, and then he slid it to me to borrow it. And I was like, "Hey, bro, can I just keep this?" And he let me. So, really cool guy. But I'm also lifting alone again. Alone. Pretty much Vincent. Since the semester started, he has classes at least 3 times a week, and the campus is about an hour and 30 minutes away. So he's we can't really working out doesn't really line up anymore. Working out together. I mean, we were able to work out together yesterday. So if you saw the physique log for push, then we did that workout yesterday on campus. So that was actually pretty decent. And that'll probably be what happens whenever. That'll probably be the times we do work out together. It'll probably be on campus, or it'll be on the weekend because the schedule we're doing no longer correlates to a specific day. It just correlates to specific times. So that means today, as in today, August 15th, is just a rest day. I plan on going running, or hopefully I feel good enough to go running later on tonight. I'm not gonna force it, but hopefully I can. But if not, it's nothing crazy. Um, but yeah, yesterday we hit the push day, and it was pretty good. I enjoyed using the free weights instead of just the Smith machine, and I was actually surprised that my strength carried over as well as it did. I was able to do 200 pounds for like 5 to 6 reps on a barbell incline. So it's not just Smith machine. So I guess that goes to show that like no matter how you lift, it'll make you stronger. If that makes sense. So I'm probably still a little bit stronger on Smith, or maybe it's the same strength, but if my chest was directly targeted only, because I was also feeling a lot more in my triceps. I think also a lot more in my back. I think even Vincent mentioned it that his rear delts were feeling a lot more. So all the stabilizers were getting some good work in as well. Probably not as much chest. My chest also felt pretty good too. I guess I should stop talking about push since this is leg day. So being someone that kind of came from doing calisthenics, thankfully, because when you start training younger, you don't really know what you're doing. Thankfully, I recognized the importance of actually training legs when I started doing calisthenics. So my quads have never been small. Aside from, like I said, this is why my shorts are usually on the shorter end, because they look like they're short, but in like reality to my actual hip. So even if you're looking at this video now, my waist is closer to the insignia than it is to the belt on my shirt. So wearing larger shorts always made my legs look smaller than they actually are. But like I said, I've always had like decent quad development from just training quads by just training squats and like glute bridges and like all that stuff. But my calves, of course, have always been the area that's been the most lacking. So when you're wearing really long shorts and your calves are the only thing that's visible, you look like you're cooked. And you don't train your legs. I promise I do. I've also always done calf raises too, but of course they were never quite enough. But I think I've started to put some mass on them, so it's not too bad. I've gone from not really being able to wear shorts without people cooking me to actually getting compliments about my legs nowadays. So I think as much as genetics, especially when you have really short calf insertions, and also really like skinny ankles, really skinny like compact legs, it does kind of make it a lot harder for them to be big and be visible, but it doesn't necessarily stop you from putting some kind of size on them. I also wanted to mention in general, this is actually something I've been thinking about, the whole height thing when it comes to weight training. So how some people say that, if you're shorter, it's easier to be bigger as opposed to being taller. I feel like that's not entirely true. I think it depends on your limb length, more importantly than your height. Because there are a lot of really tall people that are not tall and skinny. They're tall, have broad shoulders. Their arms are. That's another thing. When you're taller, you just naturally look bigger. Like even if you're not as defined, or not as if you're not as defined, or you're not as actually muscular, your arms, like your limbs, just usually are bigger. Like they're a lot thicker than someone who like their biceps might be more developed, but their arms still won't be the same size as yours. Naturally. So I think height has nothing to do with like whether or not height has nothing to do with whether or not you can develop your muscles well. And I'd say it's more on limb length. So if you have long arms and you have long legs, it can be a little bit harder. But people would say that, and it's not just in terms of length; it's in terms of like proportionality. So I'm only 5'9", and I would consider my legs long, just because how short my torso is. But there are people that are a lot taller than me and don't necessarily have what I would consider long legs. I have people that also have long arms too, and there are people that are a lot taller than me that whose arms are about the same length as mine. So it's more so just a matter of how long your limbs are. That's what affects whether or not like developing muscles is more difficult. And it does tend to be that when you're a lot shorter, your limbs aren't that long. So, like most people that are like 5'6" and below, or even 5'7", they're not gonna have like long legs for their body or long arms for their body because just isn't enough space for them to to have that, I guess. But it's still possible. Like you've probably seen that video of that goblin-looking dude who's probably not any taller than 5'6", but he has crazy long legs, crazy long arms, and he's like built for deadlifting. Completely short torso. He looks almost like looks almost like Mike Wazowski, and that's a great example of someone who has long limbs and short. So on his limbs, his muscular development isn't going to be as good. And even most Mr. Olympias, most bodybuilding champions have been tall. Like Ronnie Coleman by no means tall, but he's 5'9", which isn't necessarily short. It's just average. And then Jay Cutler I think is 5'10". Arnold was 6'2" or 6'3". Chris Bumstead is about 6'2" or 6'3". Like a lot of these dudes are not short. So I think it's mostly a myth that being shorter makes like putting on mass easier. Someone had made that comment to me like the other day, and he was probably only 3 inches taller than me, and he by no means was like a skinny dude. It's one thing if you're like skinny and tall, but if you're just tall and like normal size, then you're not really suffering from your height that's affecting your gains. If anything, it's helping you because you look bigger. Like my arms will never be as big as yours, no matter how big my biceps or triceps get. They'll be more developed, but your arms and stuff will probably just look bigger than mine. Like if you were to put your arm in front of mine wouldn't be visible. That kind of thing. That's the part of what bodybuilding is, an illusion. That's why they say that like Lee Prince, his arms look bigger than Ronnie Coleman's, but in reality they aren't. Also, he's someone that has like super short arms, so that actually helps him aesthetic wise and filling out his arms a little bit better. Alright, but that's enough about that. That's my own 2 cents on whether like being taller makes it harder. I think it's just all about your proportions. That's it. That's really it. Your proportions and the length of insertions, that kind of stuff. Which is why, luckily, despite my arms being as long as they are, I have been able to fill them in pretty well. And for my legs, it's a lot harder because my legs are quite long compared to my body. Like, even here, you'd think that that's my entire leg. My leg continues up for a good much longer. But it is what it is. You work with what you got. Anything else to talk about? Funny enough, I think I'm sick because, not sick, but I think I'm a little bit under the weather because I ate popcorn. Funny enough, I think every time I eat popcorn, it like gets stuck in my, not stuck in my lungs, but it like does something to me that makes my body think I've like inhaled dust or something. And it's just rejecting it. I only ate popcorn because I went to see this movie, and was a pretty interesting movie. It wasn't necessarily horror. It was a thriller. It's called Cuckoo. And I guess I'm gonna provide some spoilers. So if you're interested in watching that movie, uh, pretty much you can skip this part or not watch this part. But pretty much the movie is about. Here's the setup. So of course, your family moves into a new home in Germany. Parents are like I think real estate developers or something like that, or they're developing a hotel. And the family is like a blended family. So it's a father and his daughter, and then well, slightly blended family. So it's a father, his daughter, the father's new wife, and the father and the wife's child. So the daughter, I'm pretty sure mom died or something like that. So daughter doesn't really get along with the little sister, who's like a lot younger. I think the girl was 17, so the younger sister is like maybe 8, maybe 6, and also the little sister is mute, so the older sister doesn't like her much. Yeah, that's the setup. They come to Germany. They meet this dude that's helping them like to develop the hotel, and of course from the bat he's sus. Like we know that he's up to no good. Um, and what we then find out is that that dude is trying to keep some weird I think I'm done with the squats here. Yeah. Some weird species alive by using women and forcing them to carry like the babies, but instead of it being like a pregnancy, it's more like they're parasites. So the women will give birth to the child, and the child will then become activated by the real mother, or the parasite mother. So, and pretty much man was using his hotel to accomplish this. And it's the older sister pretty much finding out that her younger sister is one of these children, that her stepmom was infected. So it was a pretty decent movie. It was very confusing for a little long while until they started alluding to what it meant, because the main idea was that the movie's called Cuckoo. So cuckoo birds are like, I think they said that cuckoo birds are like a bird that have trouble reproducing on their own, so they have to be given assistance. So by the time he says that, you kind of piece together that, oh, so this animal, this monster, is something that he's just helping to reproduce. So honestly, it's a pretty cool idea. Like, it was described to me as like a horror movie for nerds. So instead of it being like demons or something supernatural, it's more like, oh, uh, this monster is like just a lost species, and we're helping them reproduce. So it was a lot more, well, I guess scientific. It wasn't very scary though, I would say. It was more of a thriller, psychological, that kind of stuff. Nothing too crazy. And the ending was kind of open ended. They didn't really show what happens next or any kind of epilogue. It was just they like end up pretty much the parasite mother ended up getting killed. The sister is able to save her little sister from being fully turned into one of the monsters. The dude that was causing it died, and also there was like an investigator who was helping the girl at first. He also got killed too. And yeah, they all live happily ever after, I guess. But it seemed like it was pretty open ended, so there can be a season 2. So pretty very interesting movie. Yeah, like a solid. I thought it was kind of cool. Solid 7 maybe. I didn't really see anything. See, they actually had guns. See, this is like a great thing. Somehow in Germany, they had guns as opposed to most American horror movies that could have been fixed with the same thing. But they had guns, so there was like a sense that I'd almost say there was almost a sense of not really being any danger. I'd say because like people were armed and stuff, and like the monster wasn't necessarily crazy strong or super broken, it was almost manageable. Like, I don't know. Me personally, I would have folded that thing. Where I'll be for real with you. I would have ended it the first scene where she popped out. But yeah, here I'm doing the goblet squats. And what I tried to do was I'd go down and I wouldn't come like all the way up, or I wouldn't spend too much time in the top position. I could kind of keep the tension on my quads, and it felt good. I could feel my quads working, but I wasn't feeling too much tension on them because I'm limited to 75 pounds I'm holding in my hand, and I could feel my shoulders and arms working a lot more, which isn't bad. It's not to say you can't use the lift that involves other muscle groups. It's just when you do, those muscle groups shouldn't be getting as fatigued, or those muscle groups shouldn't be limiting your lift, and they kind of were. So I just switched over to leg press. But yeah, Cuckoo, cool movie. I think I'm about at 20 minutes right now, so I think I'm gonna call it here and just kind of leave this thing off. But yeah, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, leave a comment. Uh, and maybe if you've seen the movie Cuckoo, just share how you feel about it and your thoughts. And maybe this has made you interested in watching it. Leave a comment about that too. That yeah, I think I'm gonna just end it here.